Welcome to the Mike Miller Show.
Would I be a good man? Would I be true to myself?
Happy Monday, folks. Welcome to the Mike Miller Show. Trusty sidekick Jessica Jane, my producer extraordinaire. Jessica, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually good, man. The weather is great. In fact, I was a couple of hour and a half or so. I finished up my last two articles for Independent Journal Review, at least before show, and I just went out on the deck, man. There's like an upper deck here. This is kind of like a three-story thing. The back half of it is a walkout basement, if you will. But anyway, so it's like it's just nice out. You know, there's a breeze. This is when Indiana weather's good. You know, when the humidity hits really bad, like later in the fall, when stuff we get like Central Florida, I think probably.
Yeah, actually, in Tampa over here, they sent all the kids home early because of the weather. And
Wow.
It's been storming here for the last, well, not every day. Like, it starts out sunny and hot, and then it's been storming every afternoon.
Man, I said fall. Actually, here like July and like August are horrible with the humidity. But anyway, no big deal. Goings on since we last talked. But there's something I have to talk about first. By the way, before I forget, bottom of the hour, Jessica, we're going to hook back up with Bob Tuskin. We haven't talked to Bob for a long time. So Bob bills it. Pardon me.
A very long time, so it'd be nice.
A long time back at the old what you call it, bag of crazy. So that
Well, thank you for that.
that's where we all hooked up. But Bob bills himself as an activist. He is a erstwhile, maybe not erstwhile, but documentary filmmaker. But anyway, Bob kind of rung me up on Facebook, if you will, Saturday maybe, and he took it upon himself to film a Planned Parenthood protest, and it was Planned Parenthood protesters as opposed to being protested against. Mm-hmm. And Bob found himself engulfed, surrounded, if you will, by some fairly angry, Planned Parenthood folks, and he continued to film, and they continued to get angrier. So we're going to play just a little bit of that. I sent you that clip, and it's like 6 minutes long, and I said, let's cut it at wherever.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to do that because I don't want to play the whole thing. But first things first, you know I'm a pizza snob, right?
Oh, yes.
I mean, if you look up pizza snob in the dictionary, there's my proverbial picture. I am just really... everything has to be just right by my standards, of course. The crust, the sauce, the cheese blend, and the toppings, they all have to work together. So having said that, and again, it's got to be Southside Chicago pizza. And no, for those of you not in the know, all Chicago pizza isn't deep dish. I disdain deep dish pizza. I don't like it. I can eat it every great once in a while as a novelty, but I don't think of it as pizza. But the Chicago thin crust pizza, when it's done properly, is the best stuff on the planet. But anyway, having said that, you might imagine that I don't like Pizza Hut.
Yeah, I think most pizza snobs would not.
Yeah, Pizza Hut to me is the White Castle of pizza, although I do every great once in a while like a couple of White Castle double cheeseburgers, and their fries are actually pretty good. So, White Castle never did nothing to me, so I shouldn't compare them in the same sentence with Pizza Hut. So, as if people like me who hate the very ground that Pizza Hut restaurants are built on, they've just done something to one-up themselves, Jessica. I'm sending you a picture, which you just got.
Did I? I didn't
on
see.
on Skype.
Oh, here it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh God, yes, I've seen those. Ugh.
This is pizza. First of all, it almost looks obscene.
Yeah, it looks like heart attack in a pizza.
Well, I mean, just the little they look weird. I mean, just in and of themselves. So this is called Hot Dog Bites Pizza.
Yeah.
Is that like the most disgusting thing you've ever seen?
Yeah, I think it is.
And they're like trying to push it because they got this actual picture from Pizza Hut, by the way, that I just sent you.
Yeah.
So those of you who have not seen this, let me scribe it for you. So envision about, what does that look like? About like an inch to an inch and a half long hot dog, right?
Yeah, I would say like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not like those Vienna sausages. I mean, they look to be, like regular hot dog circumference, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're all they're kind of up above the level of the pizza, and they're wrapped like you would do those little hot dogs with like that Pillsbury dough, right? Wrap them around it and put it in the oven.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So that's what they look like, and they're all kind of facing in to the middle of the pizza. So you got all these like little hot dogs around the edge, wrapped in crust. What the hell's the matter with people?
I don't know. Like that, I saw the commercial for that. I think last year, and I was like, I just, it's too disgusting. I don't think I can even look at that.
Well, see, they've had it in the UK for a while, but it just supposedly this iteration of it just came out in America. But the ones in I was looking at a picture of the one that they sell in Great Britain, and it would, like, the hot dog goes around the pizza inside the crust, like you can't see it, right, until you cut a slice, and then you can see the hot dog sticking out of both sides of your slice. This is just awful, I mean, first of all, if you want a pizza, you don't go to Pizza Hut. But even if you do go to Pizza Hut, why would you want, like, this is a pepperoni pizza with hot dogs? I mean, why would you? Huh?
The way that they were marketing it, it's like the family was having an argument whether pizza or hot dogs or whatever for like
And that happens all the
the
time.
summer thing or whatever. So they're like, why not both? And then they showed the pizza, and then like the little kids were ripping off the hot dog bits and dipping them in the mustard. So like it's not supposed. I don't think you're. The way they showed
So
it,
like,
it's not
so you
supposed
buy
to be-
this thing
it's
and
gonna-
like you feed the hot dogs to the kids and then you eat the pizza.
yeah, something like that. That's the way.
I
that
don't want
they were
hot dog
showing
juice
it.
on my pizza.
Yeah, I don't want that either.
Yeah.
So
Like, I don't know. I just like I said, I'm like really snobby about pizza, and I'm proud of it. And so I wouldn't eat Pizza King anyway. Or, I'm sorry, Pizza Hut. There's actually there's a regional pizza chain here called Pizza King, and for non pizza, it's probably the best. So anyway, Pizza Snob, Aurelio's, God's Pizza. You guys that know who Aurelio's is it's God's Pizza. So anyway, I had to talk about that because I had not seen this version of this thing, and it just looks absolutely disgusting.
Oh yeah, it just turned my stomach when you showed it to me.
Somebody said on Facebook that they said, feed the pizza feed the hot dogs to the dog. It's the whole thing to the dog, and get a real pizza.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably what I'd do too.
So anyway, we got a few clips we want to work in. 4, namely, 2 of them are Donald, the Trumpster, and 2 of them are H-Rod. So these are classic. Trump. When I saw this thing, like at the nanosecond I saw this, this is just instant classic Trump. I put this up on IJR Saturday, maybe. It's like within however many hours, it was like over 100,000 views because this is just classic Trump. So Trump's at a rally, and he's talking about that there is in fact a he didn't say substantial, but a portion of the black community that supports him, right? Mm-hmm. So he's selling the crowd on that, and he spots one of his supporters in the crowd, and I just want you guys to hear how the eloquent Donald Trump addresses his black supporter. Let's roll tape, as they say.
See it, but the thugs last night in San Jose, and then this Democrat mayor gets up He said, well, I think it was Donald Trump. And say, you know what I say now? When we have a protester inside, which isn't even very often, I say, be very gentle. Please don't hurt him. Take care of him. If he wants to shout, if he punches you in the face, smile as your nose is pouring blood out of it. Be very, very nice. We had a case where we had an African-American guy who was a fan of mine. Great fan. Great guy. In fact, I want to find out what's going on with him. You know what I'm... Oh, look at my African-American over here. Look at him. Are you the greatest? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. So we have an African-American guy at one of the rallies a month ago. And he's sitting there behaving. And we had protesters inside the arena. And they were dressed in a Ku Klux Klan outfit, okay? And they're running around dressed as Ku Klux Klan. And the place is booing them, booing them. This African-American gets up, and man, he slugged these guys. He slugged them. And by that time, their hat was off, because it got ripped off as they were running up the stairs. But this guy, a great guy, I think he was a military guy for a long time, he slugged this guy wearing the Ku Klux Klan outfit. But by the time he got up to the top, you couldn't see it was a Ku Klux Klan outfit. So when the African-American cold-cocked this guy never knew what happened. Everybody thought the African-American was against me. And it was the opposite. He was like this great guy, military guy. We have tremendous African-American support. The reason is I'm going to bring jobs back to our country.
Jessica.
Yeah.
My African-American.
Mm-hmm.
Look at my African-American over here. That just blew up on social media. It just, but again, it's Donald Trump, it's almost like Joe Biden to Trump fan, right? He can say anything and it doesn't matter. But my African-American, I'm wondering also, I know he's got a big fat brain because he tells us all the time, and maybe there's just no more room in it for him to understand that it's not Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
I did hear that several times.
He says it all the time. Why doesn't somebody tell him? Like, how do you do? Like if you have somebody that you care about and they mispronounce something on a regular basis to the extent that you think, like, if they were out in public that you would be embarrassed for them if you heard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Would you say, like, sometime in private, by the way, it's Ku Klux Klan?
I have done that before, and it's interesting. I can't remember what the word is. Yeah, I can't remember what the word is, but I'm like, I'm sorry, but you're pronouncing this wrong. And they're like, no, I'm not. I know what I'm talking about. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, go sound like a dumb butt. Like,
you know what? I mean, if somebody's, didn't embarrass me, and if I mispronounced a word, and I wouldn't want them to tell me in front of a bunch of people, but if, hey, dude, by the way, I would want them to tell me that.
Yeah, I would too. That's why I was surprised at the reaction I got, because I waited until later and I was like, hey, by the way, this is how you say that. And they were like, no. They got really offended. I was like, okay, never mind. Sorry.
I've learned a long time ago not to suggest to my wife that she might want to pronounce a word differently.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out. Mm-hmm. So that was the Donald Friday. I thought that was awesome. Look at my African-American over here. And then he just opens his mouth to change feet. So speaking of which, he was on Face the Nation yesterday with John Dickerson. And as anyone who follows anything about Trump knows, he is wont to contradict himself sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. And to change his mind, to change his opinion, sometimes within the same sentence. But he's been hammering on crooked Hillary, pretty hard for a long time about her horrible judgment, right? Her horribly bad judgment. And as an example, he not only talks about the 4 Americans killed in Benghazi, and rightly so, but the fact that the Obama administration went into Libya in the first place. And as he has said on a regular basis that he opposed the Iraq War, early on, although there is no proof that he opposed it as early as he says he did. But he has steadfastly claimed throughout this campaign that he was opposed to going into Libya. I mean, that's just multiple examples of that, the videos and audios and in print and the whole bit. Mm-hmm. So yesterday he was on Face the Nation, and John Dickerson asked him about hammering Hillary, and then Dickerson played a video clip for Donald from 2011, and it's Donald himself. Let's listen to how that whole thing went down yesterday. Donald Trump on Face the Nation.
Ask you about Libya. You've been highly critical of Libya and Hillary Clinton. You were also for military action to oust Gaddafi and military action to take care of the humanitarian situation in Libya. You supported that.
When you say I supported it, I supported Libya?
Yeah, you supported intervention in Libya.
I did? Where do you see that?
In a video blog from 2011, you said,
now, we should go in, we should stop this guy, which would be very easy and very quick. We could do it surgically, stop him from doing it, and save these lives.
That's a big difference from what we're talking about. I mean,
but you were
big
for intervention.
Don't forget, I'm the only one. I made a lot of money with Gaddafi, if you remember. He came to the country, and he had to make a deal with me because he needed a place to stay, and he paid me a fortune, never got to stay there, and it became sort of a big joke. But the fact is that Libya was a disaster from the standpoint of the way it was handled. I mean,
but you were for intervention, just to clear that up.
I was for doing something, but I wasn't for what you have right now. And right now, ISIS has their oil, John. ISIS is selling, and that's among the finest oil in the world. ISIS has taken over the Libyan oil. And we don't do blockades, we don't do anything. They're selling it, they're making a fortune with it. So we go out, we do Libya, we do it poorly as you can do it. You can't do worse. And then now, if you look at what's happened, I mean, the end result is ISIS is selling the oil, and it's a total mess.
This is one of the things that confuses some people about your positions, though. You said you weren't for intervention, but you were for intervention in Libya.
I didn't mind surgical, and I said surgical. You do a surgical shot, and you take them out. But I wasn't for what happened. Look at the way it's, I mean, look at with Benghazi and with all of the problems that you've had, it was handled horribly.
That's not the way it's supposed to be. Since then you've said you were never for interventions.
I was never for a strong intervention. I could have seen surgical where you take out Gaddafi. And
yeah, abada. When I said I wasn't for intervention, what I really meant was I was for surgical intervention.
Yeah.
I mean, let's see what he does, and then he tries to flip it to talking about the oil. He didn't ask you about the oil and ISIS and the oil, and I mean, to an extent, he has a point there, but that's not what it was about. He's been hammering H-Rod about period going into Libya, which is fine. I said to a Trump supporter this morning, one of my faves who follows me quite a bit, that, when you tell the truth, it's the old, you never have to try to remember what you said. And it was just hilarious because he's actually asking Dickerson, he wants to know, I did? When did I say that? And okay. Well, here's what I really meant. So that's that. And I had Trump fans this morning going, man, dude, you got to do better. So he looked like a deer caught in the headlights.
Yeah, he did. He looked surprised by that.
He was had. Let's jump to Hillary. Hillary on Friday was asked if she condemned. She was talking with Steffi Stephanopoulos. No, wait, is this that? No, this is this is the other one. But anyway, I'm not even sure who she's talking to. She might have been Tapper. It was Tapper. Asked if she, pardon me?
It was Tapper.
Yeah, she's asked if she condemns, and again, this was Friday, the day after the violence in San Jose at the Trump rally, the anti-Trump folks showing up. Hillary was asked if she condemns it. Listen who she really condemns.
There were some really ugly images on the TV screens, attacks by anti-Trump protesters against people who support Donald Trump. Do you condemn the violence? What is your message to people who are protesting Donald Trump?
I condemn all violence in our political arena. I condemned it when Donald Trump was inciting it and congratulating people who were engaging in it. I condemn it by those who are taking violent protests to physical assault. Donald Trump. This has to end. He set a very bad example. He created an environment in which it seemed to be acceptable for someone running for president to be inciting violence, to be encouraging his supporters. Now we're seeing people who are against him responding in kind. It should all stop. It is not acceptable.
What's that?
It's a clip that, I mean, as soon as the thing ends, it like goes to this ad, and it's weird.
That's and she's playing clips from. Wow, that is bizarre. You're playing clips from my articles, right?
Yeah, that's what I sent. What you sent,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. No. I'm saying, okay. Yeah. I don't get that. Anyway, this is what's Hillary Clinton, right? Condemn violence of all forms in all political, whatever she said, venues or whatever have you, except, of course, the paid, and it's been on Craigslist, and I'm not you know what I think about the conspiracists. I don't know if it's Soros money or whatever, I don't care. But from Black Lives Matter to some stuff that's going on right now. Yeah. So, but blame it on Trump. Look, I'm not a Trump apologist by any stretch of the imagination. And yes, some of the stuff he said early on, get him out of here and, punch him in the face. The punch him in the face thing was just Donald Trump hyperbole. Mm-hmm. But to suggest that this is Donald Trump's fault is ridiculous. And you and I talked on Friday, I think. Were this not Donald Trump and it was Ted Cruz, the same thing would be going on.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no question about it. But Hillary Clinton is about as disingenuous as they come. Now let's get to her and Stephanopoulos yesterday. And I want to play this because anybody that knows anything about that relationship with Steffi Stephanopoulos and the Clintons, I mean, he was like his communications director when he was 12 years old, right, back when Clinton was first elected. And big BFF of the Clintons, right, has given money to the Clinton Initiative, the Clinton Foundation, was called out for not disclosing that. When he started to interview Hillary during the campaign. But let me set this up real quick. In light of, week before last, the State Department IG, the Inspector General, a damning report relative to Hillary's email usage, personal email, private server, that said she broke the rules. So yesterday, Steffi did a yeoman's job. I give him credit, because he took Hillary to the mat several times to get her to say whether or not she agreed with the report from the State Department. Let's listen. This is fascinating.
On the email issue, as you know, the State Department Inspector General report was quite tough on your practices, and it concluded, I want to show it right here, that Secretary Clinton had an obligation to discuss using her personal email account to conduct official business with their offices. And according to these officials, diplomatic security and the information resource management offices did not and would not approve your exclusive reliance on a personal email account to conduct department business because of the restrictions in the Foreign Affairs Manual and the security risks in doing so. Do you now accept their conclusion that your exclusive use of a personal account was not allowed, that you broke State Department rules?
Look, George, I thought that the report actually made it clear that the practice I used was used by other secretaries, other high-ranking State Department officials.
No one else
said
had
it was a mistake
use
if
of
I
a
had to do
personal
it.
account.
If I had to do it over again, I certainly wouldn't. But I think that the rules were not clarified until after I had left. Because it had been the practice of others. There was certainly reason to believe, which I did, that what I practiced was in keeping with others' practices.
But you were the only one who had exclusive use of a personal account. Secretary Payne had a personal email account as well, and they were very, very clear. Go ahead.
Well, George, I have to tell you that I will say it was a mistake. I would not do it again, but I think that the rules were not clarified until after I had left, and the first Secretary of State to use a government email account was John Kerry some months into his tenure. Those are the facts.
But the report, so you don't accept the conclusions of the report because they say you were unmindful of the rules.
Everybody in the department knew that I was emailing from a personal address. Hundreds of people knew it. People around the government knew it. And, that was what the practice had been, and that's what I did as well.
So I'll take it that you don't accept their conclusion. Just one other question on this. Have you had any contact yet with the FBI, you or your agents, over this matter?
I have not been asked to come in for an interview. I've said I am more than willing since last August, and I would like to do that sooner instead of later and get this matter wrapped up and behind us.
Nobody on the planet obfuscates better than the Clintons. And let's start with the end first. Have you been contacted by the FBI, the Justice Department? She didn't answer the question. She's tried to sound like she answered the question. I have not been asked to come in for an interview. I would like to. I've said I want to get it over as soon as possible. That's not what he asked. He asked, have you been contacted, Jessica? And she didn't answer the question.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's the thing. It's like when this first came out, I was kind of like, because since I've known people that have worked for the government, I know how ridiculous things are and like how nobody knows what the right protocol is for anything because there's so many rules. But then when you see the links she went to, it's like this doesn't apply to you.
And she can twist it every way she wants. Well, John Kerry was the first to do this, and my predecessors did this, and it wasn't really clarified till after I left office, yada, 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 yada. None of these people, before or since, used a private server in their home. It didn't happen. Anyone who even sent a few, and I'm doing air quotes, previous secretaries of state, she likes to bring up Colin Powell. Not exclusively, maybe here and there, and certainly not classified stuff, at least that was ever found. But, if you listen to her talk, and I guess, part of my problem with the Clintons, well, with Hillary particularly, has always been the condescension and the arrogance she's had. That State Department report from the IG was scathing, and I posted quotes from it. Let me just do one. The report said in part, Secretary Clinton had an this is from the Inspector General. Secretary Clinton had an obligation to discuss using her personal email account to conduct official business with their offices. He's talking about various offices within the agencies. According to their offices, according to these officials, DM and IRM, I don't know who that is, did not and would not approve her exclusive reliance on a personal email account to conduct department business because of the restrictions in the FAM, and the security risks in doing so. Stephanopoulos put that up on the screen, and again, obfuscation doesn't address it. I would just love to, we always talk about being the proverbial fly on the wall. When she does finally get questioned, which she will be questioned. Is that same arrogance going to come out? I don't know.
Yeah.
But man. That woman sets my hair on fire. I cannot stand to listen to her voice. And, they call her shrillery. I don't hear the shrillness as much as I just hear this condescension and arrogance.
Well, now, yeah. Because there was a time when everything was very, kind of screaming about everything. But now it's more about, I'm above this.
Yeah, and maybe because she's older, her voice isn't as high or shrill or whatever it's used to be. But that woman is, she's something else. And she'll probably be the next president of the United States. Think about that after the break. We will be right back. We will be joined by Bob Tuskin. We're going to find out how he got himself in trouble with Planned Parenthood. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Doug, I never thought I could go back to school, but when it's this easy, it fits.
I'm right there with you, Jackie, taking classes, watching lectures in the living room on the iPad. It's not hard.
I can be a mom, make dinner, get my classwork done, and not miss a moment with my family. It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
Hey, it's Jackie Velasquez, and if Doug and I can do this, you can do this too. Higher education with Liberty University Online.
Find out more about completing your college degree at the world's largest Christian university, Liberty University. Get all the details right now. Grab your cell and dial pound 250. When prompted, say the keyword Liberty University.
Training champions for Christ since 1971, Liberty University Online. Find out more about learning online. Dial pound 250, then say the keyword Liberty University.
Liberty University Online with hundreds of degree programs to choose from. Call now, pound 250. Say the keyword Liberty University.
That's pound 250. Say keyword Liberty University.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Welcome back to the show, folks. Bob Tuskin will be joining us momentarily. A couple of things we may, while we're waiting for Bob. Jessica, Obama, everything that Hillary is, Obama is a version of himself. He beats her, I think, when it comes to delusion. I could be wrong, but put this up a couple of days ago. He's been all over Trump anyway, right? And it ridicules, and of course he's done that since he assumed the throne nearly 8 years ago as it relates to Republicans in general. But he's like really, dismissive of Trump because they see an opening there. I mean, Donald Trump, let's face it, is a target-rich environment, and he will be between now and November. But so Obama was here at the end of the week, here being in Indiana, and he railing against Donald Trump and calling his proposals crazy, all the while bragging about himself and everything he's accomplished. And let me just run through these real quick, and then we'll bring Bob on. But here's what he said. He's in northern Indiana. And again, I know it, try to contain your shock and amazement that Barack Obama is bragging about himself, right? He says, quote, "America's economy is not just better than it was 8 years ago. It's the strongest, most durable, I can't do them, economy in the world. But by almost every economic measure, America is better off than when I came here." And of Trump, he said the Republican nominee for president has already said he'd dismantle all the rules we've passed. He's talking about Wall Street regulations. This is crazy. Sometimes I just don't get it. So, okay, so there's that. But let's go back to his bragging about that the economy, by almost every economic measure, is better off than when he assumed the throne. As luck would have it, this was on Wednesday. He apparently did not get an advanced copy of the Friday jobs report, which was horrible. I'm going to tick through these quickly. Economy added 38,000 jobs in May, was expected to add 162,000. 59,000 fewer jobs were created in March and April than were previously reported. 468,000 more people who wanted full-time jobs could find only part-time work. And it goes on and on. And there was a new track record. They say people in Indianapolis understand that because of the Speedway. But as of May, a record 94,708,000 Americans no longer in the labor force, which was 664,000 more than in April. So as I said in my closing paragraph on Independent Journal Review when I put this up, Trump's proposals may or may not be, quote, crazy, but to suggest that America is better off by nearly every economic measure than before Barack Obama assumed the presidency is pure fantasy. And it is. But I think he actually believes it. So anyway, there's a little Barack Obama. We haven't done him for a while. All right, so we are joined by, we haven't talked to Bob for a long time, activist, documentary filmmaker. And Bob, I told him a little bit at the top of the hour, you managed to get yourself in the middle of a fracas with some Planned Parenthood folk, did you not?
It's funny how you can go up to one of these rallies, and these days it's a crime just to film and document what you think they might want to have widely spread and disseminated by the media. You're holding a sign on a street corner with giant letters trying to express yourself, trying to get the word out. But yet, when a grassroots journalist like myself, or a much larger journalist like yourself, Mike, goes and covers these events, there is instantaneous guilt and there is instantaneous shame on their behalf. And that comes down to the fact that I think deep down inside, these women know that what they're getting behind is Luciferian. I don't mean that necessarily in a religious way, but I mean that more in a ethical and moral way. This is a evil that is taking government and co-opting it to steal from us for the sake of killing babies.
But so let's back up a minute. But exactly to your point, if I'm protesting something that I have conviction about, right? There's a lot of people that have conviction about a lot of stuff that don't even rise to that level, that will actually get up and go out and stand somewhere with a sign and protest it. You got to have some pretty strong conviction. If I were in that zone, I would want as many people to see it, be it on television. I don't give a damn who records it, right? But to your point, they just went nuts, didn't they?
I literally was just filming the event, asking them to talk about what they were representing, what they were standing for, not espousing any of my own particular views on the matter. And that is when the insanity ensued.
Okay, so what we're going to do is I watched the YouTube video. This thing, Bob put this on his YouTube channel, and it's beginning to pick up speed. We're not going to play the whole 6 minutes. Jessica, I gave you a clip, but Bob, let's listen to this. And I think we could do it enough justice, by people just hearing the audio. But you do need to see the video because this woman is nuts that's in Bob's face. But let's listen to a few minutes of it. Then let's come back and talk, expand into the Planned Parenthood thing and so forth. Here's Bob Tuskin surrounded by some Planned Parenthood folk.
Do you guys not want to talk to the media? You're protesting at the moment, but...
Last month, a lady in Gainesville, Florida was at a Starbucks when she saw Governor Rick Scott come in to get a cup of coffee. She decided to heckle him about defunding Planned Parenthood in the state. She's now inspired a local movement of protesters demanding that Planned Parenthood receive more funding and that abortions be more accessible. I decided to cover the event and ask some simple questions to those attending the event in a non-aggressive or controversial manner. The following video is what ensued.
Do you guys not want to talk to the media? You're protesting at the moment, but...
The media, stop filming them.
I must insist that I truly was just asking questions in a non-invasive manner. Simply by me filming, without exposing whether or not I was pro or con the agenda of the protest, I had become a target. The following lady, hearing what had just happened with the assault of me simply filming the protest, decided to take it upon herself to expose me and go into just about every different tangent she could think of.
Yeah, I do. Why
Yeah.
don't you look it up right now? Woman, then you would know what assault is. Honey, look it up right now. Assault. Look up the definition. Look up
of
the
assault,
Florida
seriously.
statute.
Okay.
See, there's all these witnesses here.
Yeah.
They can testify that since you were filming her,
Mhm.
you really weren't afraid.
Because I was filming her,
because
I
she
wasn't
had a
assaulted.
gun or something.
Assault is when you put
Because
your hands
look
on
so
somebody else's body.
vulnerable.
I am.
And all these people
Very
look so
vulnerable.
dangerous.
Right.
Dude, I think you should call the police right now.
No, I don't need to get the state involved.
One, because I'm afraid of you.
Good, good. Call
I
911.
feel assaulted.
Get the police
Where's
involved.
my
That's great.
phone? Well, then get out of here, because you're assaulted.
I don't have to leave anywhere. This is a public
I'm,
place.
shaking, okay? Do you want me to have a seizure on the sidewalk to prove
Oh,
to you
absolutely
that you're
not.
assaulting me?
No. No.
Well, then dial 911.
No, I don't need to get the state
feel
involved.
threatened.
Now, I asserted myself just fine and she backed off.
Who did you vote for?
Really?
Yeah.
I voted for D's.
Who?
D's.
Who's D's?
D's nuts. Are you familiar with the
You
candidate?
voted for your own nuts?
D's nuts, exactly.
He voted for his own nuts!
I'm glad you have a sense of humor. Yeah.
I mean, wow! He's like the smartest guy ever! Dude, can I have your autograph?
Absolutely.
Oh, you're so kind! You know what? Free speech.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't know what you think you're doing.
Okay.
But you're gonna be sorry about it
do you want
later.
Do you want me to
in
put your
life.
name down
Because
in the
you know
article?
what?
You seem
Oh,
to
you're
want
gonna
this.
go to law school, right?
No, no, no. Do you want your name
What are
down
you
in the
going into?
article?
What are you majoring in?
Do you want me to put your name down?
Oh, you're writing an article.
Yeah, I'm writing an
Where
article.
Are you writing it?
So, did you happen to keep a tally of how many times she got into the stance and flipped you off?
You know, it's probably too many times to count. Mike. No, I don't know. She flipped me off a couple times, trying to assert her ability to have free speech, which is completely ironic because
Yeah.
I was there with the freedom of the press behind me, the First Amendment behind me, of course, granting me the same liberty that, of course, they should be granted. I somehow was in the wrong. I somehow was someone who should have been scared away, someone who should have been harassed and pressured and ostracized.
Well, she was, she was feigning indignance, but she acted like she was loving every minute of the attention because she wouldn't get out of your face.
Well, the thing is, I think it comes down to an addiction to adrenaline. A lot of it is, and adrenaline's a powerful drug, Mike. You know, they've shown the effects of adrenaline on the brain.
Sure.
And I think some of these people just get a high from the confrontation, from the adrenaline involved with this sort of altercation.
You know, we were talking, I forget who was on. We were talking last week, and, whether it's Occupy Wall Street or whether it's Black Lives Matter or whether it's the people we just heard in your video, the left and how quickly they just lose their crap, right? There's a high degree of also, I think, bitterness and anger. And maybe to your point earlier before the video about the Planned Parenthood in general, maybe there's a sense of, we actually do know that we're killing babies, but we care more about a woman's right to, quote, choose. There's a lot of dynamics. There's a bunch of different dynamics going on the left. But, man, they're always the first ones to call names and to get violent, if you will. You see it at the Trump rallies.
Sure. The irony of the situation is she kept trying to get me to call the cops.
Yeah.
And when the battery happened, as I've been corrected, where she put her hands on me, not the same lady you heard after with the confrontation, but a separate lady that came out of nowhere and committed the battery. When that happened, I raised my voice, as you can hear in the tail end of the clip, and said, "Do not touch me." I didn't have to pull out a gun. I didn't have to put my hands on her. I was able to confidently assert myself in the situation, and I don't need to get the state involved.
Do you have any doubt, Bob, that if someone had called the police and they showed up, that these people would have lied and said that you did something that you didn't do. Do you have any doubt about that?
None whatsoever. However,
No.
I don't think they would have had a pot to piss in, pardon the crude expression. Because the fact of the matter is, I had video evidence of what took place. Now, that being said, I don't think that would get the cops to arrest the lady. I think
No, but to not haul you off, because you were continuously filming as you crossed the street towards them, correct?
Yeah, I filmed the entire encounter, and for the sake of brevity and making it concise, because really nothing happened before then. There was nothing of interest to include. A lot of people have asked, well, what aren't you including before the actual battery took place? And the fact is, I'm not including stuff that was pretty boring. A question and answer session for a brief moment with Kara Jennings, the lady who went viral after shouting at Rick Scott at the Starbucks last month.
Right.
I got to interview her. She was kind of the sponsor of this entire event. And it really wasn't something that was entirely that interesting, to be honest. I didn't get a lot of good content from her. So after interviewing her with just your generic interview, tell me a little bit about what happened and how you've reacted, I then went to interview some of the protesters, at which point I included the beginning of the video where you'll see protesters hiding behind their signs when simply being asked about what they're doing at this protest.
While I'm thinking about it, and then let's jump back in, but where can folks go look at your YouTube video?
They can find it on bobtuskin.com. I hope you get it up on IJR, because I think it'd be a great fit for them. And, it's made it on InfoWars. It's made it on a lot of different sites around the web. So it's definitely making the rounds.
Good, man. I was speaking of filming these people and what they do, of course, the famous James O'Keefe undercover of the selling of the body parts, comes to mind. And I did not click on the story. I was a pretty busy camper I hate it when people say that, over the last couple, 2 or 3 days, either riding or going out. And I chainsawed the crap out of the woods yesterday, and that was fun. But anyway, nice. I saw in passing that California is in the process, or something about wanting to pass a law to make it illegal to undercover film Planned Parenthood. Did you see that?
Well, at the end of the day, there are state regulations that prohibit people from recording, usually audio, unbeknownst.
Usually, yeah, telephone or whatever, yes.
Right, but it all varies based on your state. And to think that we're going to have national legislation for the sake of saving face for these eugenicists that are selling stem cells to people in a absolutely unethical manner is just ridiculous.
One would wish, not hope, because it's not going to happen, that the state of California and others would go after the sale of human body parts about half as vigorously as going after people that have uncovered it.
Yeah, let's look at this. Let's weigh out which crime truly should receive prosecution, and I think it's pretty clear to anybody out there that's a moral and ethical being that recording someone doing something like this, it may not be in accordance to your state regulations. However, at the end of the day, their despicable act, I believe, outweighs the act of recording them without their knowledge.
And of course, C.L. Richards and all of them, and including their apologists on the left, initially, the videos were edited. Yes and no. I mean, clips were put on various sites that were not the entire hour or 2 hours or whatever, but the entire videos in all cases were posted.
Sort of things don't require extensive context for you to understand what's being said at that moment. There are tidbits that stand alone and that are of shocking proportions just unto themselves without any necessary, 2-hour-long context behind them. So yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry.
I think that's just a lame excuse. And I mean, the bottom line here is I'm not really an activist when it comes to this issue per se. However, I do see that as a father, it's a huge double standard that women can go and bully us with this neo-feminist perspective that we as fathers, we as men have no say in the matter, that, you know, we're pretty much second-class citizens when it comes to family planning and having a family. And at the end of the day, that's troubling to me. I couldn't imagine if the mother of my child, my wife, would have told me, hey, I'm pregnant with your baby, but screw you, I have the right to choose to kill your baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I have contended forever and will continue for the rest of forever that continue to contend that there are a fair amount, and I can make numbers up because it's my assumption, but of people on the left, of women on the left, that do, in their heart of hearts, believe that at some point, at least, as you move into the pregnancy, that yes, an abortion is killing a human being. They won't say it because the ugly reality is, but that's secondary to me being able to, you know, if it's a nuisance or I don't want it or whatever, to abort it. I mean, that's got to be in the minds of many on the left. So let's talk about we're kind of flying through. Since you're not an activist as it relates to this area, what are you an activist as it relates to?
Well, I've covered a number of different topics over the years, but most recently I've been getting involved with the self-reliance movement, the idea that we should not be dependent on a nanny state, we should not be dependent on any external sources for our ability to live and prosper. And when we have centralized banks and other aberrant influences getting in the way of us living our lives, whether it's the IRS stealing from us with taxation, which, as most people know listening to this program by now, it is theft. They are stealing from us. If anybody else was to point a gun at you and say, give me your money or else, that would be considered armed robbery. For whatever reason, the IRS does it and they are allowed to do so. Well, they're not allowed to, but that's a different story. They do it anyways because they're the mafia, right? And the mafia is going to do it whether it's legal, moral, or not. But that being, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish.
That being said, I've now kind of deduced all of that philosophy and thinking to my own homestead, to my own family, to things that I can control on a grassroots level. I'm disillusioned with politics on a national level. I'm disillusioned with looking at this guy or that guy to be my next savior. And I'm more considerate of what am I doing to provide freedom for my family and to maintain that freedom. And that is being done these days on the homestead. We have an extensive food forest that we're putting in. We have chickens, we have goats, we have dogs. We are shooting a film surrounding the homesteading lifestyle and the preparedness lifestyle, not because we're doomsday preppers, not because we think that the government's going to come kill us and we're paranoid conspiracy theorists, yada, 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 but because it is an insurance policy that if something does occur, some sort of catastrophic event, we are not dependent on FEMA and Homeland Security.
So let's back up a second to you mentioned Prepper. A couple of years ago, I wrote I don't even know how they got a hold of me, but I wrote a short ebook for a Prepper organization, and I learned as I went. They just liked the way I wrote. I told them up front I had no idea how that all worked, but man, the extensive planning and stuff that these people go to as it relates to their firearms and their munitions and so forth is pretty incredible. Are you into that, or do you recommend that stuff?
The Second Amendment is of the utmost importance, but that shouldn't be a priority per se. You know, the food, the water, the shelter, all of those things are important. But that being said, you know, if you can't protect that, then maybe the guns shift as more of a priority at that point. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, we don't have people coming into your property stealing from you necessarily, besides the government, of course. Nonetheless, you do have to have that in the wings. And obviously, no one ever hopes to have to utilize the Second Amendment or
Sure.
the firearms that
So if somebody's listening and they say, okay, Bob, you have my attention with this, because I agree with everything you just said about self-reliance and not depending on the government for anything. What are maybe some of the first steps I should take? They ask. What would you say? How would you answer?
Take a look at your personal situation. Where are you living, first of all? If you're in the city, you might want to consider getting outside of that city. If you're in a more rural area, where's your water supply coming from? I have a well. My well is connected to an electric pump. That electric pump could have energy no longer being able to feed that electric pump if the electric grid comes down or whatever it might be. So I put in a hand pump so that I have access to that well water no matter what. Look at your food situation. The average grocery store has less than 2 days worth of food at any given time. If there's an interruption in our food distribution system, do you know local farmers? Do you know any food that's in your area? Are you growing any of your food? What does your community look like? Who are some of the people that you can trust on when the stuff hits the fan? Who are some of the people that you can work with, that you can look at for help on different projects? Do you know a mechanic nearby? That might be helpful. You might not have the skill set that he has. You might be able to grow food, and he might be able to help with getting the tractor ready to grow that food. And the list goes on and on. But I would urge people that are hearing this, and it sounds like a lengthy diatribe, and it is. There's a lot of different components here, and it probably does seem overwhelming. Just take baby steps. Take it one step at a time and make little moves away from the shackles and chains to the government, to the centralized banking system, and so on and so forth.
As you mentioned InfoWars a while back, as Jessica well knows, and some of the old folks that we knew back in the what you call it again, the bag of crazy, Jessica. I am not a Alex Jones fan. Okay, I'm old enough to remember all of the nonsense for decades about the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderberg conference and the One World Order and just on and on, the black helicopters and the whole nonsense. So he just came up with another beauty over the weekend, and I forget, although it did involve the CIA and somebody releasing Beyonce's "To Kill the Pigs." I mean, so I don't have a lot of respect for Alex Jones. But having said that, there are things that can happen, right? I mean, I don't suspect, as Alex might, that we're at any second going to go to war with our own government, but stuff can happen. I mean, it doesn't have to be our government, right? I mean, there could be some kind of widespread terrorist attack of which we don't even know, right? What it could be about. I mean, there could be all kinds of different things, natural disasters or whatever, right? That would make a lot of what you're saying just as valuable.
We don't know what's going to happen, even if we don't agree on if it's some conspiracy theory or it's something more practical. I think we should all have the same end result in how we look at it, and that is get prepared.
And what better to prepare than protecting your family, right? Absolutely. All right. Dude, we got to get out of here. I can't even believe it. We'll have to have you back on. Tell folks how to follow you and if they want to learn more, where to go.
The Bob Tuskin Show at gmail.com or Bob Tuskin on YouTube. Thanks for having me on, Mike. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it as well, Bob. Have a good day, brother.
You as well.
Okay, bye-bye. So, Jessica, are you prepared?
I am not prepared, but my boyfriend was talking about some of that stuff over the weekend. Like, what if our thing stops working? And we were like, I was like, I don't know, maybe we need a generator or something. Because of the storm stuff, we were thinking about it. But so it's interesting that he brought that up.
It's funny, you mentioned generator. That's what I thought he was going to say instead of the hand pump. But we just to show you how not prepared we would be, we being my wife and I, we have a generator that in fact, I just put it on Craigslist Saturday because it's cluttering up the garage. Do you think I ticked Bob off when I told him I was not a huge fan of Alex Jones?
Maybe, because I think he is a big fan of him. I think
Yeah,
he believes in
I
all,
didn't
like,
know
the
for sure. I
chemtrail
suspected
stuff
that he
now.
might be, but nobody's ever, nobody's ever gotten mad at me for keeping my mouth shut, if you know what I mean. But anyway, no, I don't know. I hope not. I mean, Bob's a good guy. But anyway, we'll have him back on, and I'll tell him I love Alex. No, that's not going to happen. But what is going to happen, we got to get out of here. It's been a quick hour, as they normally are. We appreciate y'all listening to us and hope you will be back Wednesday for the Mike Miller Show with Jessica Jane. Thanks, folks. We'll see you.
Say goodbye to the city. I think it's time to get away.